Hi YouTube, my name's JR. I just built the gasifier, so I wanted to post a video of it. Gasifier basically uses wood fuel to create a smoke or a vapor that you can then use in a generator or an internal combustion engine. So I'm going to start it and get it going and warming up, and then explain everything to you as it's warming up, and hopefully I can start my generator on it once it's all going. This is just rolled up newspaper. What it's doing right now is it has a blower motor attached to it that's pulling air through everything. And so as I lit that newspaper, it's drawing that flame into this tube and igniting the fuel that's in the fire tube from the top here. Now hopefully what the goal is that'll ignite the fuel inside here, which is in a 4-inch diameter pipe that goes down into here, and then there's a basket at the bottom holding that fuel. All that I'm using is wood pellets for a wood pellet stove. They tend to burn pretty clean and they work pretty well. Okay, so that's got the fuel lit in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cap off my ignition port. And now the only oxygen that's coming into the system is through the tube that the fuel is in. So what I'll do is I'll grab the camera and I'll kind of explain to you what these different pieces are of the gasifier. So this main unit is a 30-gallon barrel that I have, and what it has a 4-inch tube welded into the top there that then goes down about 18 inches, 16 or 18 inches into this unit. And then what it does is like I said, it's burning in there. This front piece is just a clean out port. It's got a gasket around it. And then this is a shaker assembly. This handle goes in through this tube and interlocks to the basket, so you can shake it and loosen up any charcoal and get rid of the old stuff before you light it with new fuel. I got all of these plans and everything from the FEMA booklet. If you want those instructions, they're free on the internet. You can just Google FEMA gasifier, and you can download it. I think it's like 85 or 95 pages worth of material. It's pretty long, but it's well worth reading. A lot of the stuff I did completely based off of those plans and based off of some ideas that I saw off of fellow YouTube gasifier people. So what's going on now is that burn that's going on in this main container is the smoke is being drawn through this pipe. Then I have a rubber coupler into this unit right here, which is an old Freon canister, and what it does is it's a Cyclone filter. This is the inlet pipe, and this is the outlet pipe right here. This outlet pipe goes through the top of this canister all the way into about 2 inches off the bottom. So what it's doing is it's drawing the smoke in. That smoke is, in theory, spiraling around that outlet pipe, and it's depositing a lot of the water vapor and creosote and tar onto the sides of this canister, which then drip down into this drain, into this pickle jar that I have here. And so what I can do, so everything's still airtight. I have, if anything's been mated up together without welding, I've used high temperature silicone to seal those cracks and gaps so that everything here is airtight. So no oxygen is getting into the system at any time other than through the fire tube up here. And that's where it's supposed to get the air. So once it goes through the Cyclone filter, it's pulled up through here. There's another rubber coupler. And then it comes down this pipe right here, down to the very bottom of this big ammo can that I have. This was an ammo can that had a detonation cord in it. So it's pretty big. I chose an ammo can because it has the rubber seal, the rubber gasket all the way along the top. And it's designed to be air and water tight. So this comes in through the bottom, right there at the bottom. And then right above it I have, in the inside I have angle iron welded to the sides here. And that angle iron supports a screen which sits on that iron. And then that screen holds an entire box full of sawdust essentially. It's just like the cedar or the pine shavings that you get at like a pet store for your hamster. So this thing's full of sawdust which acts as a media filter for cleaning out a lot of the other impurities that's in the smoke. Now, what happens next is that it's drawn up through this pipe right here, this outlet pipe, and it comes through here to this. This is just a 12-volt camping air mattress pump, essentially. And I have it, it's kind of bad. It's just wired right now to a little potentiometer or a rheostat that I got at Radio Shack. I ordered a bigger one because this one can't handle the amount of watts that this needs. So it gets really hot really fast. But essentially all that is that's connected to a 12-volt battery in my car. So that's going, and I can adjust how fast it goes based on what it needs, because when you first start it up, it doesn't need a whole lot of air being sucked through it. It only needs a little bit to get it going, and then you can slowly increase the amount of air that you're pulling through it. Okay? And then that just comes up to this little torch-like thing, and that's just so that the vapors can exit, and you can eventually light the smoke that's coming out of here. Right now it's just air. It just feels like smoke. Cool smoke, at least. And so I can eventually light this, and once I can light this and it stays lit, then I know that I'm able to turn on this valve, which then goes over to a manifold that I bolted right up to my carburetor on my generator. Now there's absolutely no gas tank on this generator right now. Actually, right here is where the gas line usually connects. So you can see there's absolutely no gas. Usually there's a gas tank that sits right on top. It's completely gone. I drained the float bowl so that I know there's absolutely no gas in there. And I have these marked exactly where they need to be. This is the fresh air and this is the vapor. So you do need to control the air to fuel ratio in here, because obviously it's not doing that through the jets and everything that it's designed for. So eventually, and it's a little breezy out today. I'm not sure if you can see this on the camera, but there is some smoke coming out. I wonder if you can see that up against my house. I'm not sure if you can see that, but anyways. So, and the barrel's getting warm to the touch. So usually it's getting a little hot. Usually this is about the time when I test out my the fumes that are coming out of the torch. Okay, and what I can normally do is I can just light it, and they're staying lit, but not for very long. So it's almost there. And you can't see it, unfortunately, for some reason. It's a very invisible flame. You can only see it when it's dark outside. But we'll give this just a few more seconds to go, and then it'll be ready to turn on the generator and fire that baby up. So basically what I have coming is I found on Amazon a rheostat that'll handle, I think it's 25 watts, which is what this will take. This is a 12-volt motor. It draws at most 2 amps. So that's 24 watts maximum rated power. So I bought a 25 watt, I think it's a 20 or 25 ohm rheostat. So it should be able to drop the voltage to about 1.5 volts or all the way up to 12 volts. If at 12 volts, this sucker really pumps out a lot of air. And actually I tried to start this thing with it on full blast, and it actually it got too hot in the barrel and kind of backfired and belched up all the wood fuel out the top and put itself out. So that was kind of not a good idea to do. Okay, so I just lit the torch. Don't know if you can see the heat coming off of it, but it's staying lit. So that's telling me that we're ready to go and we can start up the generator, okay? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave the fan on for just a minute, but I'm going to open this one right here. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make sure my motor's on. I'm just going to spray a little bit of starting fluid, and this should be able to pull it. Okay, it's running. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to turn off my fan and close that port. And this thing, look at that, we're running on wood. And what's strange is the exhaust that comes out of my generator just smells like a campfire. It's kind of funny. So it took me a little while. To get the oxygen setting right on there, and it's not entirely perfect yet. I still have to tweak it just a little bit to figure out the air to fuel ratio, but it works. It's running my generator, and if I'm good enough, I can plug in my saw. Let's see if I can kill it. So there you got it. I'm running my generator completely on the vapors that are produced by this gasifier. I'll put up some pictures of what the inside of this looks like as far as the basket and the shaker assembly and the fire tube that's going down into it. But you can already see that it's used up a little bit of these pellets. You can kind of start to see the fire tube there. But basically that's it. All in all, I used a lot of recycled material for this. Obviously a Freon canister and an old 30-gallon drum and an ammo box from the Korean War, I think. But overall, I did end up spending probably close to about $300, give or take, on pipe fittings, all the different. I mean, I have at least 4 of these ball valves to control where the vapor's going in through all this and through that manifold there. But that should give you a pretty good idea on how a gasifier operates. Now obviously, once that was going, I turned off the fan because this was getting screaming hot, but also because you don't want to overload your gasifier. The size of your gasifier dictates how big of a motor you can run off of it. On the FEMA plans, they actually have a graph that tells you the horsepower of your engine, what size of fire tube you need, and all that fun stuff. And so this is only a 7.8 horsepower motor. And supposedly a 4-inch fire tube like this can handle up to 15 horses. I kind of don't believe it, because this thing gets really hot running just that 8 horsepower motor. So I would almost say if you're going to go with a larger motor, you need to kind of over-engineer it and go with the step up. I think the next step was a 6-inch tube, and that would handle up to a 30 horsepower motor, which if I was doing anything 8 horse or over 8 horse, I would probably use a 6-inch tube just to try to keep the heat down, because the cooler you can run it. Obviously, I've used rubber couplers to isolate the heat going from this metal point to this metal point, and the same here, from here to here, just for cooling purposes. The more you can cool the smoke that's going through your gasifier, the more energy it contains once it gets to your motor. So if you're running really hot gas, not only is that going to start to compromise the material, the rubber couplers, the sawdust, all that stuff, but it's also not going to contain as much energy for your generator. So the cooler you can get it, the better. That's why I recommend that if you're going to go with any motor that's a little bit bigger than that, to just kind of go the next step up and utilize the bigger fire tube. That way it doesn't get as hot. You're not really running it at 100% full capacity. So this thing's getting pretty hot to the touch now. But as you can see, I mean, I've been running this now for a couple minutes, and it's running pretty good there. And the fun thing for me is that it actually generates electricity. That's pretty cool. All right, thanks guys. Okay, here's a shot of the fire tube going down into the barrel before I welded the top on. You can see some supports there holding it in place. Also, down towards the bottom, there's the pipe that is the ignition port that you light it from. It goes all the way into and connects to that fire tube. There's a hole there, and then that's welded around that. You can see the chains going down to the basket down there at the bottom. Now, in the FEMA plans, they tell you to use like a stainless steel bowl and to drill holes into it, but really it's pretty flimsy looking to me, and so I really beefed it up. I used some 1/4-inch thick 3-inch flat stock and bent it around into a hoop, and then used some 1/2-inch rebar and welded that grate onto the bottom of it, so it's really heavy duty. I'm not too afraid of that burning through anytime soon. The next shot just shows the basket itself and how the chain connects onto it. I just used some quick links to get that chain around it. The chain is welded up top, and I used a tape measure and everything to make sure that it was level and as plumb as possible. The next shot shows the inside of where the shaker assembly comes in and connects to the that basket. It has that piece of 1/4-inch bar that you can see the handle of on the outside of the barrel, comes through that pipe, out that cap, and then is bent around and interlocks with a hoop that's welded onto the actual basket. So when you use the shaker assembly on the outside, it grabs that hoop and grabs that basket and moves it around, so it empties all the dead ash out of that basket and allows the fresh fuel to come in.